Hello YouTube and hello 9th Age community. This is Charles with Irishid Gaming and I'm bringing you another 9th Age battle report. Coming in for our second round at Strength in Numbers, Team Salty Bitches had a really good win against the Legendary Gamers, and now we had to play against the Bruise team. The Bruise team, great guys. They beat us last year at Strength in Numbers pretty well. I think we only got 20 points or something like that, and they got like a 60-point cap. They kicked our butts last year, so we're looking for some revenge. They've got a Warrior of the Dark Gods player, a Demonic Legions player, a Hybrid Elf player, and a Soaring Ancients player. The Demonic Legions are like a Wrath with a Scourge. The Warriors of the Dark Gods kind of just fast and a lot of armor. The Hybrid Elves have an Ancient Dragon, and the Soaring Ancients have, I believe they have an Alpha Connoisseur, but they also have a Cthulhu Lord. So there's like 3 Taurosaurs. So it was a really interesting matchup. Actually, they had great lists. So we really wanted to choose our Hybrid Elf matchup. So we put our Hybrid Elf player down, and they put forward their Soaring Ancient player, which was okay. We actually one of the great matchups for our Hybrid Elf player was the Soaring Ancients. Because even though he had a lot of monsters, he didn't have any pyromancy, and I think he was rocking evocation, so the Soaring Ancient player. So he didn't have any pyromancy to stop like the regen spells from Druidism, and the monsters would have just been torn apart by the shooting and the spear and the White Lion Chariot character. So that was unfortunate, but that's okay still. So at this point, we know that the ID and the OnG are going to be good against the Soaring Ancients, so I put those lists forward. They give us their Warrior of the Dark God and their Hybrid Elf, which was interesting. I was not expecting that. I was kind of expecting, I guess they didn't want to put their Demonic Legion as the Hybrid Elf player, which made sense. So they held their Demonic Legion back. We held our Beast Herds back. So then it came down to who's going to be better against the Hybrid Elf or the Warrior of the Dark God. That was my choice. Obviously, the Hybrid Elf player, with the Ancient Dragon, the Beasters just can't catch that model because it's flying, and they don't have any shooting, so they're not going to take it down, so he has to fight the Warriors of Dark Gods. We have another mirror match with Hybrid Elves, which was just hilarious. And then the Infernal Dwarves get chosen against the Soaring Ancients, and I get the Demons of Wrath. I don't love playing against Scourge lists. I mean, who does? It's like, I feel like it's a very one-dimensional game. If you kill the Scourge, you win. If you don't kill it, you lose. So, but that's what it is. So this is how the board looks. We had classic deployment, and the objective was hold the center. So I put a Wolves down. He put his engine down, and then I put another Wolves down, and they dropped everything. So on the left, he's got a unit of 4 Crushers. Then his Demon Engine, and then he's got a cannon. His Scourge is next to that small hill. Behind that hill is a small unit of Slaughters. Then he's got another Blood Cannon, 3 more Crushers. One of them looks like a Blotfly, but it's a Crusher. And then a big unit of Slaughters, and in the Slaughters is a Herald. So his Scourge, great looking model by the way, has like that 3-up armor save, and the Eternal Sword, and the Scourge has the Elixir of Souls, so he can do that big fly for 1 turn. His Herald's on the corner right there. He's a really cool looking model. He has the Obsidian Horn, so he has the Spell Scroll. So starting with my deployment, I wanted the Spiders to have nothing to do with the Scourge or the engine. And I thought they had a pretty good target against that big unit of Slaughters. Even though they're Strength 5 and they get Lethal Strike, you know, I can stomp them. They're only T3. So I was like, I'm gonna put the Spiders over there. I put a Chariot over there. I put a Bolt Thrower behind that building. I didn't know Wolves over there. I just didn't really know what to do with my Wolves this game. They're not really good chaff against the monsters or the Flying Scourge, so they're kind of just hanging out in weird places, I feel like. Another Bolt Thrower in the middle, and then my unit of Boars is right in front of the objective, so they can try and score later. And then on this side of the table is where I got all the meat and potatoes of the army. So I've got a Chariot on the left, and then both unit of Cave Goblins are kind of right in front of all those scary things. But I've got my General nearby. He's on the hill next to a Bolt Thrower. and I got my shaman behind them. I didn't really know where to put my shaman this game, because pyromancy didn't really. I mean, unfortunately, Demons of Wrath are really good against. They have a lot of good saves against magic. There's a lot of magic resistance everywhere. They already have 5 aboard saves. And I don't know. I think I was trying to hide him from the cannons, so he just ends up over here. He has floating swords this game, which is really good. So I think I wanted to get him in for my bow, see if I can get that off. He pick some wounds off. I'm gonna need a unit of wolves in front, and then those 20 white bows. Those are common goblins, and my BSB is in there. I didn't really vanguard anything. The wolves didn't really have anywhere to go. So the game starts off with Demonic Legions, turn 1, and take a picture of my opponent's Nurglings, or Furies. They're like the little Nurglings, Plaguelings with wings, the gargoyle wings. Great kick bash, loved them. So he pretty much pushes up with everything on my left side, his right side, but he holds the Slaughterers back, pretty much because of the spiders, which is good, I guess. You know, keeps them from committing everything. The Scourge does fly up 20, uses Elixir turn 1, and I'm like, ugh. Although it's interesting, looking at this now, I'm almost kind of curious how far away that Demon Engine is from my general. It looks pretty close from here. And then on his turn 1, he shoots at both his cannons. I think one hits my general, but he makes his ward save, which was awesome. So, starting on Orcs and Goblins turn 1, I got this Scourge in front of me, and my general does not like it, so he just backs up, unfortunately. Kind of gets ready for maybe a counter charge. In the magic phase, I'm not really aggressive with any of my units except my spiders. That's the only thing I can be aggressive with. In the magic phase, I try and get Flaming Swords off, but I believe he and I think rolled like 4 dice, and he takes all his dice, and he stops it by like 1, unfortunately. And then I do like a 2d6 Pyrokinetic Flow on this unit, and he actually uses his Obsidian Horn. So, not a great magic phase, but at least his Obsidian Horn's gone, so now he can't scroll something later on. And then in the shooting phase, oh man, we open up with everything, everything we have on his Scourge, and just nothing can touch him, unfortunately. 80 bows, 4 bolt throwers. 3 of the bolt throwers are hitting on 4s too, and they just can't get through. They just can't get past the word save. Either they're not hitting. I think only 1 hit and wounded, but then he got his ward save up. So he gets into the goblins on his turn 1, and I have to chaff everything else up basically still. So I have to throw away the wolves, and I have to throw away a chariot. And then on his turn, one of his cannons does 2 wounds to my spider, my green spider, so that was unfortunate. After combat, he has no problem mopping up that chariot, and but he doesn't kill the wolves, surprisingly. So they rally on Orcs and Goblins turn 1. So I had to release my Mad Gits, as you saw earlier on, with the unit that got charged by the Scourge. Because if I didn't release them early on, I probably would have never got to release them. So they kind of just went out in front of the Demon Engine to see if they could hit that guy, see if he could run into him, but they didn't go far enough. And they ended up hitting my goblins and doing some damage. The Mad Gits this game, they were betrayers. They did not help at all. But as you can see, this is how it's looking. I chaff up his Crusher Cav and his Slaughter Horde at the top so that I can maybe get a juicy double charge with my spiders. Otherwise, things are kind of hanging back. I've still got all this shooting I can throw around, hoping something hits, something wounds. My other unit of cave realms on the left is like, they're completely surrounded by Mad Gits, so at least the Crusher Cavs are coming in. Between shooting and magic, actually I think it was between 1 bolt thrower and the common goblins and the BSB, we kill a blood cannon. So that was awesome. Really happy to get that out of the way, because that just, those things can wreak havoc on my spiders. And I do not like that. I like my spiders alive. And then in the shooting phase, I believe we shoot at we have to release our Mad Gits, and we release them at the engine, and they fall short again. It's just, unfortunately, just a lot of falling short Mad Gits this game. We do a couple wounds through shooting to the Crusher Cav on my left, and then I actually had a chariot charge another blood cannon just because of throwaway, and it killed it. I was like, go Chariot. And I attempt to overrun into the slaughter unit right there. I think I only need like a 6, and I failed that. So that was unfortunate. Good to get the cannon, unfortunate to just fail a small overrun. In combat, the slaughter is just plucking away. I thought this was very smart. This is something I realized. I need champions in these cave goblins. I really needed the entire tournament. I needed champions. But this was really smart on his part. I wanted to go deep and put a bunch of ranks out, but he actually planned out after the first combat. Really smart on his part, because it's hard to go deep when you have to be 7 wide. So Demon Legion's turn 3. This is actually the only picture I have for this turn. I think I have 2 pictures for his turn. Because now that he doesn't have cannons, it's like he moves around a little bit, and then we go into combat basically. So he actually had his engine charge the 2 wolves, and they held because of my beast being my general right there. And he only kills 1. I thought that was really weird, but I was like, okay. And then the Scourge thankfully doesn't kill the goblins down to less than 5 models, so they stick. So that was a really good turn for me, actually, because now I have my general. He's gonna try and go in the front and see what he can do. That Scourge doesn't take any damage. It's just, oh man, that 3-up armor save. I always thought like the 3-up armor save was kind of It's really good because now you just can't even sneak small damage through. So Orcs and Goblins turn 3. I charge my red spider at the slaughters, and I charged the green one, but the green one failed, unfortunately. I don't even think it was like far charge. It was like 15 inches. So I need like an 8 on the die. And then over on the other side, my general's going in against the Scourge. This is, I can't avoid it any longer. I was thinking about going into the engine, but I was like, if I go into the engine, I probably could kill the engine in 1 round, but then the Scourge is still just there, and then he can go wherever he wants. So I have to. And then the Scourge even gets hatred. I do a little bit of magic, kill some pressures, get flaming swords up. Can't really do much now. And then in combat, my general does 2 wounds. Go Iron Orcs on Chariots with Bluff Realm. They're so good. Oh, this was good. I think we actually calculated it wrong, because I had a charge, I did 2 wounds, we had a flank, and I forgot that I had a rank in the flank. And I think he would have taken 1 more wound, but that's okay. I just kind of forgot that there was the big ranks in flank. When you forget rules and then it penalizes you in the end of the game. It's just one of those little things. Over here, the spider just whiff fest by the spider. He goes in there, misses all 8 of his attacks. I think the goblins actually kill like a couple wounds, but he does get a decent thunder stomp. I think he gets like a 4 or 5 thunder stomp and does like 3 wounds. And then he would probably have bounced if I didn't roll my stubborn check. But now he's only got 2 wounds left. It was interesting who did the hero did 2 wounds, because I think he's strength 6 first round. So he had like 4 attacks, hitting up 3s, winning on 2 4s. It's like whatever. The Slaughterers just rolled a bunch of lethal strikes. What can you do? On Demon Legion's turn 4, he charges his Crusher Cav on the left into the Cave Goblins, and unfortunately, the previous turn we just removed one of the models, and it let him get around one of those Mad Gits. It was like, it's like you do damage to him and then they avoid damage. And then he puts his Demon Engine into the flank of my Warlord. On the other side of the board, he charges that Wolf Chariot, that same Wolf Chariot that killed the cannon over here. Chaffs the Crushers. He chaffs with his flies now. Or with his Furies, I mean. Yeah. It's all down to combat, basically. It's all close combat right now. So, again, my lord, he does 1 wound to me. I do 2 wounds to him. I think we had to make a break check. Or I think we might even... It's just been a tie combat, because I did 2 more wounds. We had the same flank rank thing. He had the charge. Yeah, I think it was a tie combat, so was really excited about that, because the Scourge is just, you never know what it's going to do. Over here, the spider just doesn't do well again. It kills a little bit. It kills more this time, obviously. But and they only do 1 wound to me, which was nice. But and you know, it's like an 8 for me to get off the board or something like that. And he decides to pursue. So he pursues and he catches me, or I go off the board, either one. And in this close combat, he just whoops on these cave goblins. You know, they have flaming sword up, but even with like the stand and shoot, I think they might have done a wound with the stand and shoot or something like that. But even with flaming sword up, you know, it's just their strength 3 attacks against the 3 up, 5 up. There's nothing you can do really. So OnG turn 4. I have a surprisingly small amount of pictures for this turn. I do a little shooting in this crusher unit because I still have like so many bolt throwers. Still have 4 bolt throwers, but they really have not been doing anything for me this game, unfortunately. They do a couple wounds to this crusher cav unit, and I did make 2 charges this turn that I didn't take pictures of. The red spider charges the Furies because if I blow through them, I can get an overrun on the beginner slaughters into their flank, which is great. And then my shaman charges the 2 crusher cav, hoping to get some good impact hits, maybe be able to get flaming sword up or something, and I don't know, maybe save those cave goblins. I do shoot that unit of slaughters too. And then in close combat, I get 3 impact hits, I think, which isn't terrible, but only 1 wounds, and then he saves it. And then he just whoops on the goblins. You know, there's only like 4 or 5 goblins. I think he kills enough goblins that they don't even have rank. And then, yeah, I think he brought him down to 4 models, so he killed like 9 goblins, which is pretty good. I mean, he's got a lot of attacks. Then my goblins flee and my shaman flees, and I felt really stupid here. I was like, that was a terrible move. But he goes off the board too. And then in this combat over here, I blow through the Furies pretty easy enough, get in their flank. That's awesome. And then, my lord dies, and the Scourge ends up running the goblins off the board. And the engine just reforms. There's nothing I could do. You know, I mean, the thing's got like 8 attacks. It hit with 7 of them, wounded with I think he hit and wounded with 7 of them. It's a really impressive roll. You know, because he's only hitting on 3s, I think. I think he's just hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, rerolling the 2s for the wounds. So yeah, he just kind of turned up and killed my lord. Nothing you can do. Demon Legion's turn 5. He charges my Bolt Thrower that's on the hill. And he moves his units back on the board. They just kind of get behind the hill because they're going to stick up Bolt Throwers. If I could do another wound of the Scourge, I could get half points, but it's unlikely. He blows through the Bolt Thrower, and he goes into my BSB. And then in combat with the Spider does a bunch of wounds, but he doesn't, get him below. I needed to do like 2 or 3 more, I think, to get him below his 2nd rank, and I just couldn't do it, unfortunately, with the Spider. It's just, it's so hard to get past those word saves sometimes. This was the 2nd mistake I felt like I made this game. The first one was charging the Shaman in. I mean, I don't know what I should have done with the Shaman. He kind of got in that back corner and had no really good place to go. But he shouldn't have charged in, or at least that's what I felt. And then the second mistake was I moved this little cannon right here is practicing as a bolt thrower. I moved it out of the way of an engine charging it, and then I was like, I'm an idiot because I could have moved that thing in the way, and then it freed up my boars to contest the objective. So that was really stupid. So on his turn 6, the engine charges the boars, and they flee and get caught. He kills the spider in combat, and he just gets lethal strikes through. And then the slaughterers fail charging that goblin unit, which lets me on my turn 6 contest the objective. Because since the slaughterers are too far away, the crushers were in. It actually saves me some points. That was pretty funny, actually. So the game ends up a 17-3 loss for me. The only thing that I can really complain about, I feel like, is the shooting. It's like, especially turn one, I had like 4 bolt throwers on that Scourge, and that one guy. I mean, because it could have easily have just been like bolt thrower hits, wounds. I mean, obviously, like it's like there's so much shooting there that I could bring the Scourge down to like 1 or 2 wounds just on my turn one. I feel like I've seen it happen all over the place. And, watching games on YouTube or just kind of like hearing about it, you never know when the shooting turns up. And if it doesn't turn up, it's really unfortunate. So, but yeah, that's the only thing I feel like I complain about. Everything else, I think I actually want to go back to this picture. This picture really intrigued me as I was making this battle report, because I feel like I must have just missed this. I feel like I have a really juicy charge with my General and the Chariot into the Infernal Engine and that Wolf Chariot as well, because I feel like if both of those go in there, I probably kill that thing in 1 round. And then I can turn around, or maybe the Chariot goes after the cannon. I just feel like, and the only scary thing would be then his Scourge could probably go into a unit of goblins or go into a bolt thrower, could get some overruns, could go into my BSB's unit. But all those things are less points than my General. And you just never know where his overrun is going to take him if it leaves him out in the dust, and then I can take another bolt thrower shot at him. So I don't know. I think that was interesting. I don't regret charging my General into the Scourge at the moment I did, because it didn't have Hatred, which I think is really huge. I mean, that turn 1 Hatred for that thing is insane. That guarantees him almost like 7, maybe even 8 hits. Which is just really good. So that's enough for the battle report. Enough about me complaining about my loss. Let's see how Team Salty did with their games. So our Beastard player bounces back from his loss in the last round, and this time he beats the Warriors Dark God player 16-4. It's actually funny because he got a revenge on this guy last year, because we played the same team last year and they beat us this year, but our Beastard player triumphed. So that was dope. Again, I had my loss to the Demon Legions. He got 17 points out of me. And then our Infernaldorf player lost to the Saurian Ancients, which is really unfortunate. And I remember looking at their game, because both our games were kind of close all the way through. We were playing on this, 2 tables next to each other. And our Infernaldorf player, the Saurian Ancient player was holding on to over 1,000 points, because he had 1 Temple Guard left and his Control Lord at the end of the game. I'm not really sure what happened in the Highborn Elf matchup, but it ends up being a 10-10 draw there. So the final score is 38-42, so just a minor loss, but a loss. So Team Salty Bitches is 1-1 right now. We were happy that we kept this game as close as we could, at least. We could have lost much worse. They didn't cap, which is good, but they did beat us significantly. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, again, let me know in the comments if you like how I'm telling you guys about the team, because I think it's a lot of fun. So, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. This has been Evershit Gaming.